Hello and welcome to today's Facebook Live business series. I'm Jessica Pantermuehl, lead instructor for the career development course here at the Nutritional Therapy Association. And today I am so excited to be joined by the co-founders of Branch Basics, both Kelly Love and Allison Evans. Branch Basics is a mission-based company that provides natural cleaning products, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about both Allison and Kelly here now. So Allison Evans is a co-founder of Branch Basics, and she lives in Texas. After coming down with mysterious chronic pain during college that led her to see the country's best doctors, she finally experienced true healing after moving to the Hill Country to live with her aunt, Marilyns. There, she lived in an environment free of all toxic chemicals and ate only real whole foods, and her symptoms completely disappeared. This clean lifestyle also reversed one of the worst cases of PCOS her OBGYN had ever seen, allowing her to naturally and easily conceive two healthy babies. Allison's healing journey inspired her to co-found Branch Basics, as she is beyond passionate about helping others experience the power of pure. Allison loves researching all things holistic parenting, cooking healthy meals, finding clean brands to use and recommend, and helping others navigate their health journeys. And it looks like they might have popped off, so let me just make sure they're back here. All right, I think we have you guys back. Great. Sorry about that.
You're in the lobby. It said you're now in the lobby.
You were for some reason in the lobby. Awesome. Well, Allison, I just got finished sharing with the audience a little bit about you. So I'm going to move on to telling the audience a little bit about Kelly, and then we'll dive in here.
Great.
So awesome. Kelly Love is also a co-founder of Branch Basics. Raised in a home with all things conventional, it wasn't until college that she experienced the power of living in an environment free of harmful chemicals and eating according to the principles of food as medicine. All of the quote unquote normal problems that Kelly had experienced most of her life, like dry and itchy eyes, painful menstrual cramps, joint pain, and even body odor, disappeared. It turns out they don't actually have to be normal after all. And Kelly is passionate about helping others thrive, not just survive. And today, Allison and Kelly are joining us to answer your questions and share how they turn their story of illness into a story of inspiration. And we're also thrilled to have Allison and Kelly joining us as speakers at the NTA's Business Summit in Austin, Texas, which is coming up right around the corner here on September 29th and 30th. So Allison, Kelly, thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Awesome. So first question I have for you is, both of you have somewhat similar stories in terms of dealing with painful symptoms and sickness and not really knowing where to turn or what to do. And really, we hear these stories all of the time from students as really a large why of theirs for starting on the path of studying with the Nutritional Therapy Association. And I'd really love, first of all, just to have you both share a little bit more of your story and what led you to the idea behind Branch Basics.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start off and try to put it in a quick nutshell. Kelly and I actually met in college, where we roomed together from basically all of college until the day I got married. And so she's been on this journey with me the entire time. In high school, I was, as you mentioned, diagnosed with severe PCOS. I had cysts covering my ovaries and told that I would never be able to conceive naturally. I was put on birth control. That was the only answer. And I kind of just didn't think much of it. I accepted the diagnosis and I thought, okay, I'll join the 1 in 10 women who also suffer from this because there's nothing we can do about it. So fast forward to college, I actually came down with this kind of mysterious chronic pain that essentially went from like below my eyes to right kind of my lower back. And I can't describe anything other than just I was aching and hurting and rubbing myself all the time. And I ended up essentially dropping out of school. I was diagnosed as a student with disabilities. Because I spent so much time traveling the country and seeing specialists and trying to figure out what was causing all this pain. And I was on a slew of muscle relaxers and antidepressants and painkillers and sleeping pills. So I was kind of just like a walking drug line for most, I guess, half of college.
And always carrying a cooler with ice packs.
Yeah, I would literally take ice packs in a cooler to class and they melted. I would have to leave. So it was hard. It was really hard. And I was really finding no relief. One of the last doctors I saw in Houston threw out MS. And that was kind of the last of the medical route that I really experienced, because it was then that I was really opened up to listening to my Aunt Marily, who is our co-founder of Branch Basics. And until then, I had always kind of thought, oh, come on, like I've been to the best specialists in the country. How is my aunt, who is, you know, an environmental and dietary health consultant that talks about eating real food and saved her kidney from a potential transplant with using food as medicine, how is this going to be more powerful than hydrocodone? you know?
Yeah.
You know? And so I was a bit skeptical, but she started explaining to me about how the body has this amazing natural propensity to heal. And if we would just kind of get out of its way and really be mindful of the things we put in, on, and around, it wasn't just about diet. You know, we can eat a perfect diet and then we go home to a home sprayed with pesticides and we're using conventional cleaning products and, you know, we're getting hair perms or whatever it is. So I was like, okay, I'm all in. I'm just going to try this out. I had nothing to lose. And I was able to see a significant drop in my pain. And Kelly, again, this was in college, so she was really witnessing all of this transformation. And then upon graduation, we thought, okay, there's something here. I mean, this is pretty amazing. Let's go out to the hill country, which is a couple hours outside of Austin, and live with Marily for the summer. And we'll just like learn how to detox and like cook food. Like we had no idea.
Marily's a macrobiotic chef, so we were like,
oh wow,
let's like go live with Marily and learn how to cook from her and just hikes. And we had no idea what we were getting into.
Amazing.
Yeah, the first week she's like, okay, we're gonna have juice in the morning. We all had juice. We're like, yeah, like grapefruit juice and orange juice. She's like celery and beets.
Yeah.
Like, no.
This was 2008, so it was a whole like new world to us to wake up in the morning and ground, like walk around barefoot in the wet grass while we're drinking our juice, and dry brush and oil pool and all these things. We were like, what? Like,
and not just us. I mean, it wasn't a thing then. I mean, it was a thing for like the, you know, really small population who was privy to all of this, but there was no juice bar anywhere except maybe a Whole Foods here and there. So we were the weird friends for sure. But we got to hunt that summer. It's a small town in Texas. And we just living in our home, it was like the lack of fragrances and just the smell of no smell at all. You know, just when you walk into a place that's so clean that you're like, oh, this is clean.
This feels good.
It almost like eternally felt like what it feels like right after it rains, you know, just like a pure feeling. And so I realized like most of my pain, you know, had been taken away within reason. But then when I got to hunt, I mean, I was still on drugs and I was still, you know, in pain every day. And it wasn't until I lived in an environment that was completely free of pesticides and dryer sheets and synthetic fragrance candles and all of these things that I had no idea were kind of creating this low-level chemical soup in my home that I thought was healthy. So within 8 weeks, all my pain went away, and it really hasn't come back. I mean, I'll see a chiropractor here and there, but I drove back from hunt that summer, and I was able to take a desk job. I mean, things that I never thought I would be able to do, because I truly thought I would be like wheeled down the aisle in a wheelchair. I mean, that's the kind of pain that I had been in for so long. So it was transformational. And then about a year and a half later, I went back to my original doctor in high school, and I got another sonogram, and I had basically no cysts on my ovaries. So I had reverse PCOS, and then I was able to get pregnant easily twice. So that's my story. And Kelly will kind of tell you a little bit about where she fits in there too.
So I'll tell you my story and how it led to Branch Basics. So I was a kinesiology health promotion major. I was interested in health already, but didn't know anything about this side of it. It was more like truthfully, it was just, I loved Pilates.
Yeah.
So I just was naturally fascinated by everything Allison was learning from Marily. And that summer showed up to Marilyns, and she was like, I'm sorry, but Kelly, we're gonna have to air out your clothes. Like you like this is your dryer sheets and laundry detergent are so strong, and like we're gonna have to get rid of this for you to like feel something this summer. So we literally like put all my clothes out on the sun deck. The sun is a very powerful detoxifier, and to break down like chemical fragrances and stuff. And so anyway, that just like is an example of I was, just still, even though I was fascinated in learning about food, I was still unaware of like laundry detergent and dryer sheets, because that was just something I've used for my whole life. And I didn't realize how strong it was because I was accustomed to it or whatever. And so anyway, by the end of the summer, being away from that and doing all the things that I mentioned earlier, plus like infrared sauna, and Allison and I each got a macrobiotic prescription. So we were following like a food as medicine prescription for each of us. So by the end of that, I just was like a new person, and could then, like only then could I feel the warning signs and the red flags that my body was giving me when I was around certain things like dryer sheets or, synthetic fragrance dryer, laundry detergent.
Well, and I'll add to that there, some people will say, gosh, you're so sensitive, or I don't smell that. Like, I'm so glad I don't smell that. But really, these are the things like the God-given red flags, signals that we're supposed to smell. I mean, we're supposed to be able to smell dryer sheets, and it's like a smoker. You smoke so long and you don't even smell your own clothes or people around you, and then you stop smoking and you like can't even be around it. It's that, and then that's such a great sign that you're what they call unmasking. And so those red flags are able to be heard instead of ignored. And, you never know what happens when you can ignore things for a long time. So,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I, like you said in the intro, just realized, wow, like my menstrual cycle can come on and I don't even have to be in pain at all. I don't feel any symptoms. So it was just a really cool way to actually experience, what Marilyns had been talking about. Like, it wasn't until we were able to like really, feel it that we were fully on board, and that we just wanted to go like shout it from the rooftops. And so Marilyns is a consultant, Allison mentioned, and we spent a lot of time listening to her consult her clients too. And, always it was going through how to help them remove harmful products from their home and everyday life. And she had vetted, the top products that you would want, air purifiers, water filters, etc., organic mattresses. So we had this idea to go back to Austin at the time and put together a website and put all of Marilyns' information and her top vetted products on the internet, and make a cool website, and make this not like woo-woo or like super hippy dippy, but just like, look, this is real, like this can change your life. And it didn't take long for us to realize that people were so overwhelmed. It's like some people will just dive in and want to know it all and want to change everything right at once. And that's kind of how we were. But we had to realize that, a lot of people want to take it slow and step by step. So eventually we went from talking about all these things and all these products and providing all these different products to just sticking with cleaning, because cleaning is an easy, attainable first step for people, and it makes a huge impact on our air quality and our health. There's a recent study, I'm sure a lot of the members have seen, but regular use of cleaning products is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And then there was another more recent study that shows how infants are actually showing signs of obesity because of cleaning products.
Wow.
Disrupting their gut. So anyway, it's not just about like, oh, get the smells out of your house. Like, it affects our hormones, our, metabolic system, our neurology, all that. So
behavior.
It's a huge thing, but it's an easy thing. You're not you don't have to get the whole family involved. You don't have to like try and kick a sugar addiction or get your kids and husband involved, or spouse. So anyway, it just was like, okay, this makes sense. Let's start with cleaning and let's streamline the process for people so that they don't have to research a bathroom cleaner and a toilet bowl, you know, or a oven cleaner or whatever. So that's kind of how we landed on where we are today with Fringe Basics.
Oh, I love it. What an absolutely inspiring story from both of you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'd love to know how that transition happened between recommending products to actually starting to create them and really establish this company of what Branch Basics is today in terms of sourcing or in terms of how that sort of evolved.
I'm gonna let Kelly take this one because I feel like she'll be better at this. You can just keep talking. I love looking at you.
No, well, so we've had a journey, and we'll share this at the NTA summit next week, our full story. And
Sure.
But just in a nutshell, we actually started off by private labeling and licensing a product that Marily had used with her son for years. That was the only thing that worked for her son that he could tolerate. We didn't really mention it, but Marily actually gained all of this wisdom and was able to consult and help Allison because her son was exposed to high levels of now banned pesticide, chlordane, at school, and completely, you know, just destroyed his detoxification systems, immune system, everything. And he was deemed a bubble boy that was unrecoverable. And the doctor said, just create a safe room with a mattress and pretty much that's going to be his life. And Marily refused to believe that. And over 7 years, you know, she already had a lot of knowledge about food, but over the 7 years, she learned a lot about environment, you know, the importance of a clean environment, using Douglas as a canary in the coal mine. You know, like he was the canary that would warn what was safe and what wasn't. And so she finally found this amazing product that he could tolerate, and then her very sensitive clients could tolerate down the road when she started consulting. And so we started using that when we lived with Marily. We loved it. Marily had this long history. We were like, this is an amazing product, but it's just not marketed well. And we think we can market it better and get it out there. It's a valuable product, and it needs, you know, it needs better marketing. And so all that to say, we really created the business because we loved this product and believed it was, you know, knew it was awesome, and wanted to get it out there. So long story short, eventually it ended up being, there's some, you know, trust issues with the supplier. It ended up not working out. And
the business side of business.
Yes. Business. We just were like, oh wait, we're just trying to help people. And like, all this stuff that's happening with supplier and manufacturing and all this stuff was just kind of not our forte. But anyway, turned out the ingredients, you know, the formula was proprietary to the supplier, and we weren't able to be fully transparent with our customers, and that's something that we really wanted. And so we decided to part ways and reformulate. And so thankfully, we are now, after a year and a half of testing like over 100 formulas, we found one that met our standards, and we are now, you know, providing that formula. But really, honestly, it started just because Marily had this product work for her son and her clients that no other product would. And so even though we're not using that product today, we're really grateful for the history of that product, because it really demonstrated that all of her clients and a lot of our original customers, the original formula, couldn't tolerate a lot of the popular green products out there. So it really showed us that there was a real need for a clean product.
That's awesome. Thank you. And in terms of, and I know that you're going to talk about the Branch Basics story, and that, you know, and Branch Basics being this kind of lifestyle brand, Something I'd love to know is, as we know, the art of telling stories and telling your own personal story, it can be so powerful to your brand. And this can absolutely relate to any health or wellness product or even a practitioner and their personal story. It seems like both of you are just do such a beautiful job with this. And I'd love to know, can you walk us through kind of how you were able to take your own personal stories and develop them into this thriving business that you have today?
I'll take that one.
Great.
I mean, and I'll take it because I feel like this is a really easy answer. We weren't trying.
Yeah.
God has given us these stories, or I will say he's given us the ending at least. And we, through your pain comes your gain, is what they say. And what's awesome is that we were able to be led down a path that allowed us to understand how powerful our innate healing ability is. And there are very few symptoms, experiences, stories where, because of what I've personally experienced, because I've seen the reversal of something that was, incurable, and something out, that was impossible has now happened twice. I'm 8 months pregnant right now, so I am in the heels of that. But because of that, I now view health in such a different light. It's hard for me to accept no as an answer. It's hard for me to label someone as what they have. I don't even really, when I say my PCOS, which I used to say, I don't even want to own it, And so I think knowing that in my heart, and I think for Kelly experiencing that as well, knowing that she had to skip school and class because of PMS, and now she's like, oh, I had my period, So when you experience something, and all you do is just authentically tell, it's hard. It's like, sometimes I say to Kelly, it's like, I want a mountain and a megaphone, and I just want people to believe me,
Yeah.
And people say to me a lot, gosh, how do you avoid refined sugar? How have you done that for so long? Or how do you make such healthy choices? And it's easy because there truly are boundaries to our freedom, and within those boundaries, I have found my joy and my health and where I thrive. And so you can't make up a story that is yours and it's your own. And I think all that we have done, it's like, there's really not much credit given to us other than passion. And through that passion, I will say the credit would be that we have persevered through a lot of CRAP with business, which we can tell more about next weekend. But I think to continue to go back to the original reason why you start the company in the first place and to make it about passion, had we not lived the stories and had those personal experiences and felt the results and have the passion for it, there's no way we would have restarted the company, when we kind of went under a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's in everyone, I feel
it's like what Allison's saying, but it's just being authentic and telling your story.
Exactly.
It's not trying to
add to it or
color it and market it in a special way. Obviously with today, to stand out, you got to market yourself,
Sure.
But really, like even on social media, like on our stories, it's like, my kitchen is a mess. My hair is not made and I have no makeup on, but like, I want you to know that this is how you use your product, because I believe that's going to help you in your daily life. So I'm going to show you, it's not about making everything perfect or beautiful, but just getting the word out, sharing the message of what we think will help people, really.
And it's interesting because I am so inspired by the beautiful feeds. Truly I am. And there's nothing wrong with
we have
people can.
Our Instagram stories aren't always
stories. That's true. It's true. And it takes a while to build that up for sure. And you have to have help. But I think for us, one, we just don't have the time to, make everything look beautiful. And so I think that that's something that people can relate to, is just us being raw and real and messy and relatable in our stories. And so, yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell.
That's great. Thank you so much. And in terms of, and I just love how you are kind of speaking back to just being raw, being real, being authentic, and that you kind of highlighted those specific things, like maybe your hair's not done, maybe you don't have any makeup on, but in your Instagram stories, for example, just diving in and showing people how to, use products or whatever that might look like. And so for another person who might have a budding product or even a practitioner who's trying to connect with their audience, are there any tips or advice that you would give in terms of helping them to share their stories and connect with their audience? Maybe if they're feeling a little bit reserved or feeling unsure of being willing to kind of put themselves out there, that's something that practitioners can run into, being, oh, there's already so many other voices like mine, who am I to say these things? Or simply feeling like they need to have everything perfect before they're kind of really able to take that leap. I'd love to hear just some words of encouragement or advice that either of you would have to these practitioners or to these business owners.
Yeah, I can't help but just smile because I'm thinking of even just this interview. I was like, I told Kelly like a couple hours ago, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make it to my destination time to get internet. I'm going to have to go through Boston. I have no makeup. I have to borrow your toothbrush. And I think that if you don't start somewhere, you're not going to start. And my dad's an attorney, and he said, Allison, the first couple people I saw, if they only knew, I had no idea what I was doing. And you had to think until I made it. Hopefully none of them are watching right now. You had to start somewhere, and there's so many people in this world, and if people can't relate to you, then they're not for you, because there are so many others that can. I mean, we have friends that probably think we're kind of crazy, and I love them, and we'll go grab, a happy hour, we'll take a walk, but they're not going to do anything I say on my Insta stories. They think I'm nuts. But then we have a great following of people who are just, they're like, oh my gosh, what do you drink? What do you eat? Like, I'm so inspired. My family has been transformed by the articles I've read. And we're like, really? We didn't really even think people were reading those besides our moms. There are always people out there, and they're going to find you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about social media, really, is that you're allowed to reach such a broad audience, and it picks up. The more that you consistently put yourself out there, and that you're real, and that you're continuing to tell the same story out of passion, that following is going to become refined and larger and more committed to what you're doing. So I think it's just a matter of being confident and being real.
Yeah, I think people, especially today, just want real, not sugarcoated, not fake, and vulnerable, but also just reminding yourself that it's not about you, like if you're wanting to get this information out, whatever it is you're sharing, because you believe that it's valuable and helpful for people, then that's what's gonna make you actually want to do it and be okay with the fact that it's not perfect, because it's not about you. You're just a messenger sharing something that you believe will help people. So just reminding yourself that the message is important. Just we for a long time would not put out as much content or something as we wanted to, because we didn't really ask for help. We were trying to do it all ourselves. And so I think the other thing too is just being okay with asking for help, and knowing that that's a way to spread your message further.
Yes, such good advice, definitely. And in terms of sharing that message, and since we're on the topic of social media, I'd like to dive into that a little bit further. Do you find that what you found to be most successful is coming at these messages with sort of a strategy of what you'll be sharing, or is it more of like off the cuff, just sort of like as it goes? What have you found to be best practices for you and your business?
Sometimes we try and set a strategy and follow that, but a lot of times, truth be told, we are last minute putting stuff together and just kind of not winging it, but just we're scrambling, and I don't recommend that. But you have to start, then, better to just get it out there than to not, because it's not perfectly strategized and laid out. But,
yeah, when you have a small business, I mean, you just have to do it and just make it work, because there have been so many seasons where it's just been us. I mean, we couldn't afford help, or we couldn't, now we have.
Real quick, when I said help earlier, I meant to just like leaning on other influencers or other people that are sharing your same message and joining forces for them to do a takeover, or for them to contribute to your blog, so that it's not all on you. So it doesn't have to be employees, but just kind of surrounding yourself with a tribe that you can lean on to help share content that if you think that content is good, you can share it, versus trying to create everything yourself.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for making that distinction.
We're just now, since we launched our new formula a year ago, I mean, when you're creating products and you're running a business, a website, and getting your taxes in order, I mean, those are like the basics. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I think we're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and people that are creating products and just trying to get themselves off the ground. And having a social media strategy is like, well, that would be nice. Yes. But I'm just trying to keep my doors open and make sure my, product doesn't have a preservative in it. Because if I don't stay on top of my manufacturer, it will, whatever it is. Yeah. And so, it's like you do what you can. And we're finally at the spot where we are growing an awesome team. And so our team meetings are more able to focus around, hey, let's do a healthy home series.
This out.
Let's plan this next season. Let's ask for so-and-so to do a guest post, or, Kelly, you take charge of this series, or whatever it may be. But gosh, that's only happened within the past couple months. And so, I think that as a business owner, you just have to.
Yeah, not putting too many expectations on yourself in the beginning.
Because then you feel like a failure and you're overly stressed. And the best thing to do is just be raw, and even just talk about how, look, I don't have time to get such and such together, but this is what I'm eating right now. Or this is the smoothie that I've been craving lately. And did you know that celery helps, raise your sodium levels? Like, mine happened to be low. Like, didn't know if anyone else experienced that. And it's crazy because like I said, there are always people that are going to be like, oh my gosh, I relate to that. Even when you think it's just something small that was off the cuff. So I think that was long-winded, but.
No, that's such great advice. There's so many little nuggets in that I think are so helpful and so applicable and so practical for all of the new and existing practitioners that we have here in our NTA community. And just the testament of, even for a company like yours who has a lot of success, I just so appreciate you sort of peeling back the curtain, letting us know, there's still a messy middle, aspect of it, and that the strategy isn't always as predicted and on point as you want it. And I think that just really kind of gives a lot of permission for others to be able to dig in and just act and do and go forward, even if it's not all strategized perfectly and all worked out. Just sharing that message, sharing what's from your heart, helping people, coming from that place of service. I just think those are all such really wonderful concepts. I really appreciate you both bringing those to the table.
Yeah, and I want to add one thing. It's like, for the people that know about the NTA or involved in the NTA, like, you already have a leg up over most of the population. Essentially, you know more than you think you do. And people will say that to us. We're like, oh, we shouldn't do that interview, or we shouldn't be speaking at this event, or I don't know, we just don't have that much experience. And they're like, I mean, you know more than me, more than,
Exactly.
Like, well, I guess if I can share this, one thing will be helpful. And so that's what I love so much about the NTA is that you guys get it. And the fact that, if you're even attracted to the program, you know so much more than you think you do.
You're aware.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming on here. And I am just thrilled to see you both next weekend in Austin. I can't wait for your actual presentation where you're going to be digging into these things even deeper. Can you share with the audience a little bit about what some of the things that you are going to be covering next weekend in Austin?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
really just sharing our story. So our talk is from inspiration to illness. I mean, from illness to inspiration.
Switch.
That pretty much sums it up right there.
I love it.
So yeah, we'll just be sharing our story and, you know, with the journey of the business, what we learned from that, and just our vision for moving forward.
Wonderful.
Unfortunately for the audience, we've made a ton of really expensive and bad mistakes that we're hoping people can learn from and avoid. We've taken ourselves through our own little expensive business school since we had no business training. So hopefully some of our blunders can turn into nuggets of knowledge for others.
I have no doubt that they will, and that is the best. That hard won advice is truly the best. So can't wait for you guys to share those nuggets with our audience next weekend. And thank you both so much again for joining me here today.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.